Eh bien, bonjour à tous. On va effectivement
Hello,
parler
everybody.
de
So,
l'intelligence artificielle
yes,
avec Alexandre Lebrun.
as you've said, we're going to speak about
artificial
artificial intelligence with Alexandre Lebrun, who works for Facebook. What is your role there? Hello, thank you for inviting me over. So, Facebook and iResearch is basic research on AI, and what we do is open research, open source, and not that much connected with Facebook products. In the team, 50% are engineers. The reason why is because deep learning and basic research is really pragmatic. So we've got researchers who design what we do, and we technically implement what they want to do. So, for instance, games such as Warcraft are very challenging for us. So you create tools in order for them to test what they work on. Infrastructures, PiTorch, for some of you may know, it's a kind of language, etc., etc. So we try and achieve a project with them. So basic research, as you've said. So what you work on will not have a direct implementation in Facebook products. And before working for Facebook, you also worked on marketing issues and customer relationship. You created VirtuOz, a company that created in 2002 Chatbots. So can you tell us more about that part of your life? I was almost born in chatbots. I mean, it happened in 2002 when I met Sibel, a chatbot, online. We fell in love. They used to embody chatbots under the pictures of very attractive women. And then we had the idea of creating chatbots for the customer relationship service. We did what companies do now. Our first client was the French railway company. And I have to acknowledge that they really had a prospective vision there. And we built for them a chatbot on a platform with analytics, etc. I mean, the standard design we've got today, we were pioneers there. So to focus on the issue, dive in AI. I will try and avoid all that is maritime, but I think someone can easily draw in trying to dive in such a universe. So, in a nutshell, how can you define AI? Yes, it means many different things, and very often not clear ones. So I think my best way for defining it, that is in the information technology, is something that we cannot really do. 10 years ago, finding a road to go from point A to B was considered as AI. As soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. That was a sentence said by one of the fathers of the information technology. So today, what is still challenging is something that human beings do, that is to map their environment. What I like to define is the machine learning It's a process that is clearly defined. And when we speak about AI, we generally mean machine learning. If you want to change Fahrenheit degree to Celsius degree, you organize a program in order to explain the computer how to go from Fahrenheit degrees to Celsius degrees. But we can also teach the machine, providing it with examples. 70 Fahrenheit degrees mean 25 Celsius degrees, and I never give the formula to the machine, but my system is able to, after a few examples, convert any temperature from one unit to the other. So the difference is to provide the machine with examples. So speaking about temperatures, it's pointless because there is a very simple formula. But in order to identify a cut in a picture, for instance, for 70 years, people tried to identify the different pixels. But for a human being, it doesn't go through the pixel identification. So using machine learning to find a solution to these issues, we find more easily a solution. So what can we do, in particular regarding marketing and customer relationship? What can we do in an automatic way? All that is picture identification. All that is computer vision will be solved within 5 years. Give me any image, any video, and all the objects will be located and identified. The image will be understood, literally. So application, direct application, implementation for a customer relationship. The client sends a picture and the product is directly identified as well as the issue. Or when you're explained, when there's a video on a process that doesn't work on a screen, when the customer explains that when clicking on a button, things doesn't happen the way they should, everything could be identified and solved. Regarding automatic translation, in Facebook, we work with 2,000 pairs of languages. Also, for instance, you have voice recognition, things like that. This is something we want to offer, voice recognition, helping to interpret a conversation. For instance, we've designed a scheme, a tool that describes in English, in French, an image, and it is used at Facebook for production for blind people in order to describe. So image recognition, voice recognition, other things work well. All that is advice. This is good for users, not only for Facebook, but for other structures. Something also brand new. We don't have any implementation yet, but content generation. Before we had a video, an image, etc., to produce a category, and now we've got GAN. It's a tool that can generate an image or write a text from a material of another essence. So we use templates. We don't use sentences that have already been written, so we can personalize we can customize a product for a client. So all these generation tools will help. But you haven't spoken about conversation yet. So why the fact we have a completely autonomous conversation with a machine? Is it still a science fiction story? Yes, it is very challenging. I started thinking of that. We thought we could solve it within 3 years. And then we thought the customer relationship service would be completely replaced by machines. When Léa was online for the French railway system, somebody said, "Hey, my name is wrong on the booking form," and the bot said, "Hello, wrong." So some questions are easy to answer when you're a machine, and other questions are very difficult. And this is the issue. And let's go back to what Alan Turing said in the 50s. If you want to test that your artificial intelligence is really intelligent, it has to be able to have a 20-minute conversation, and at the end of the conversation, the human being is not able to tell whether it is a machine or a human being the person has spoken to. So when someone does that, that'll be the perfect artificial intelligence. Well, this is then a fantasy in marketing and customer relationship services, to have a chatbot interacting with our customers and finding all the answers and solutions. When we got ready for this event, you let us know that it is not feasible yet, but it wouldn't be interesting as much as we think. Let us know about that. When I say there is no perfect chatbot, completely independent, I don't mean that chatbots are not useful. And I can tell you that there are some amazing things that we can do with chatbots. But if it were possible, would it be good to use only chatbots? I'm not as young as I used to be when I thought that I would solve it in 3 years. Within 3 years, the real question here is that, do I want to my clients to interact only with robots? Because where is the human passion, the human emotion there? And there are some very human features, the emotional intelligence that human operators of client relationship services have. And I think that shouldn't be replaced, and couldn't, for the moment, be replaced by chatbots. Let's give an example. Zappos in the USA, they sell shoes. Now it has been bought by Amazon. Tony Sier was the founder of Zappos, and a Zappos customer said, a lady who had lost her husband, and she was sending back the shoes. The product was useless for us, for her. So she didn't need the shoes, and she decided to send them back. And the operator at the customer service took the decision of sending flowers to that lady. First of all, it means that at Zappos, the operators of the customer relationship service are free to take such initiatives. And this story became viral, and of course, it got Zappos many customers. So it was a very sad situation that demanded a human gesture in order to define that brand in a way that no advertising campaign could have done. So we shouldn't try and replace all the human beings by robots. So now we are between what shouldn't be and what won't be possible because of issues of empathy, etc. I'd like to know how you reached such decisions at VirtuOz, and sometimes you designed the chatbot answers in order to be slower, because if the answer is given too quickly, then it could induce some doubt in the trustability of the answer in the customer's mind. So how did you think of doing that, and why it was important for you? The example you've given is an example we have in real life. If you go and speak with an airline's representative, and if you ask whether your flight has been confirmed, and straight away you are given yes as an answer without being asked your name and your flight number, and although through the any IT system the customer can be clearly identified, nevertheless, as a human being, if you're giving an answer too quickly, then you start doubting about the answer. So we decided to slow down the answer. The only way you can realize that is to read the conversations. And it was difficult for us to read every week conversations, not only the conversation actually, but also the time frame of the conversation. So this is very easy to be done, and it helps you a great deal. On slide 2, somebody asked, what is the difference between the chatbots then and today's chatbots? But maybe also the viewpoint of the chatbots users may have changed. Do you think people have the same reaction if they get a very quick, too quick answer? So, technologically speaking, chatbots haven't evolved that much. We understand things in a better way. We go through learning machines, whereas before we used to draft up processes, we used to work with grammars, etc., etc. Now we use things such as fast text on Facebook or we.x, for instance. But once you've understood the person's intention, 20 years ago, it was designed through other processes. Then live chat was just beginning, and in 2002 we didn't have any chat log, we didn't have data, and we tried and used emails, but they were not really trustable. And now if I want to we used to go through decision trees. Now we have a different approach. And we also couldn't shift to live chat when the bot wasn't able anymore to manage the conversation. So we're a bit ahead of the trend. We already thought of a live chat, and with the same pattern you created M in Messenger, because at the beginning the questions were dealt with by human beings, and then you started introducing robots. Yes, Facebook M is a long-term research project. Artificial intelligence manages as much as it can, and the operator can support it in a more efficient way. And when it shifts to the operator, then the artificial intelligence listens, understands, and learns. Another evolution that has been forecast, and that gives the feeling that in our sector very quickly we will be able to automate many things we've spoken about. In particular, Google says that there will be the ability for the personal assistant to book a meeting with a doctor. So what is your viewpoint on this? Is it the next step for the customer relation service? It is becoming actual, it is becoming really useful for brands. It's a twofold answer. First, when the artificial intelligence gives a call for you, this demonstration is just a demonstration, and between what they show and what is implementable in real life, there is still a huge gap. So I'll remain skeptical, not about what they've done as research, but regarding the possible implementation of it in real life. This type of dialogue can work only if everything is standard, and that's why it's quicker to use a site. So this is a kind of paradox, because in Facebook M we've understood it well, and we could automate very quickly restaurant booking, etc. But if you want for your birthday to have a parrot in order to dress up as a pirate, that is something that has to be done through your phone. So this is a kind of paradox in the situation. That being said, I really believe in vocal interfaces and voice assistant, but don't consider them as a competition with, as being in competition with written chatbots. They're complementary, because when it's written, you can have images, you can have video clips, and we can also have voice. So it's the next step. And if, for instance, during the day I've checked different hotels, and when I'm back home, my personal assistant tells me that it's high time to book a room, because it knows that I've been checking all day long different hotels. It complements my search. So, from your point of view, as somebody working in a research laboratory, you can say this is completely feasible to have a unified experience on such a platform. And before, as a person who knows what customer relationship means, do you think that this unified experience following the customer in its habits is interesting? and is meaningful. You have to have the user's point of view and stop seeing things from the brand's point of view. So what is the evolution of my client through the different channels, and to have a cross-cutting approach. You also have to be aware of the limits of the artificial intelligence. We tend to overestimate what can be done through artificial intelligence. And project managers or project leaders have to understand that there is a realistic limit. Yes, not to exclude all that is human to those projects. And yes, and stop thinking that my 100% automatic bot, when reaching its limits, will shift to a 100% human conversation. It would be more of a mixed approach. So my conclusion would be whether I can use my customers' advisors being more productive and more interaction quality because they're supported by artificial intelligence. And if they are more productive, then my staff can also work with providers, etc., and they will have a deeper connection with my company, much better. Thanks a lot, Alexandre. So we've got very interesting perspectives for the future, and keeping in mind, we'll keep in mind for tomorrow.
Merci.